The first time I realized I was in love with my stepbrother, I was standing in the kitchen holding a glass that had already slipped from my hand, and I didn't even notice it shatter because he was laughing. Not with me, at me. That's the thing about having a frenemy stepbrother. You never quite know where you stand. One moment, they're your biggest critic, and the next, the only person who truly sees you. And somewhere in between, without warning, your heart betrays you. His name was Ion. Tall, effortlessly confident, with a smirk that could either make your day or ruin it entirely. We had been forced into each other's lives 2 years ago when my mom married his dad. From day one, we clashed like fire and gasoline. "You're in my seat," he had said the first night at dinner. "It's a chair, not a throne," I snapped back. That pretty much defined our relationship. We argued over everything: music, TV shows, whose turn it was to do dishes. He called me dramatic. I called him arrogant. But beneath all that, there was something neither of us acknowledged. Something that slowly grew in the quiet spaces between our fights. It started small. He'd leave snacks outside my door after we argued. I'd pretend not to know they were from him. He'd fix my broken laptop without telling me. I'd accidentally make extra tea and leave it on the counter when he was studying late. We never said thank you. We never said sorry. But we noticed the real problem began the day I saw him with someone else. Her name was Zara. She was everything I wasn't: effortlessly pretty, kind, the type of girl people didn't argue with, the type of girl Ion didn't argue with. I saw them laughing together in the driveway, his head tilted closer to hers than I had ever seen. Something inside me twisted painfully. That night, I couldn't sleep. Because for the first time, I understood what I had been feeling all along. And it terrified me. Loving your stepbrother isn't just complicated. It feels wrong. Messy. Like a secret you're not even supposed to admit to yourself. So I did what any rational person would do. I pushed him away. Hard. Our fights became sharper, colder. I started avoiding him, locking my door, eating meals at different times. If he tried to talk, I'd shut him down. "Did I do something?" he asked one evening, confusion written all over his face. "Yes," I said flatly. "You exist." I saw the hurt flash in his eyes. And it hurt me, too. But it was easier this way. Easier than facing the truth. Until one night, everything broke. It was raining heavily, the kind that makes the world feel smaller, quieter. I was sitting on the floor of my room, trying not to cry, when the door suddenly opened. Ion stood there, soaked, breathing hard. "You don't get to shut me out like this," he said, his voice trembling. Not with anger, but something deeper. "I've tried to ignore it, but I can't anymore." "Then don't," I snapped, standing up. "Just leave me alone." "No," he said firmly. "Not this time." Silence stretched between us. And then he said it. "I care about you, more than I should." My heart stopped. The words I had buried, denied, fought against. He had said them out loud. "This is messed up," I whispered, shaking my head. "We're family." "We're not," he replied softly. "Not like that, and you know it." I did. That was the problem. Tears blurred my vision. Even if it's not wrong, it's complicated. What about our parents? What about everything? "I don't have all the answers," he admitted. "But I know pretending we don't feel anything is hurting both of us." For the first time, I let myself look at him, not as my rival, not as my stepbrother, but as the person who had been there all along. The one who understood me without words. The one who challenged me, annoyed me, cared for me in ways no one else did. "I'm scared," I confessed. "Me too," he said. "But maybe that's not a reason to run. That night didn't magically fix everything. In fact, it made things harder. We had to face real challenges. Keeping distance while living under the same roof, acting normal in front of our parents, dealing with our own doubts and guilt. There were days we regretted opening that door. Days we almost went back to pretending. But we didn't. Instead, we learned something important. Love isn't always neat or easy. Sometimes it comes in unexpected forms, in complicated situations that force you to grow. We talked, really talked, for the first time. About boundaries, about respect, about what we wanted and what we feared. And slowly, we found a way forward. Not rushing, not hiding, just being honest. Months later, things felt different. Not perfect, but real. We were still us. Still teasing, still arguing. But now there was something softer beneath it all. Understanding. One evening, as we sat on the rooftop watching the sunset, he nudged me lightly. "You're still dramatic, you know," he said. I rolled my eyes. "And you're still annoying." He smiled. And this time, I smiled back without hesitation. Because sometimes, the person you fight with the most is the one who knows your heart best. And sometimes, love doesn't come in the way you expect. But when it's real, it's worth facing the fear, the confusion, and the challenges. Because at the end of it all, love isn't about perfect situations. It's about choosing each other, even when it's hard. The morning after everything changed, I woke up with a strange heaviness in my chest. Not regret. Not exactly fear either. Just awareness. The kind that makes every little thing feel louder than it should. The sound of footsteps outside my room. The clink of cups in the kitchen. His presence. For a moment, I stayed still, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word from the night before. "I care about you more than I should." And I had said it too, in my own way. There was no going back now. I finally got up, took a deep breath, and opened my door. He was already in the kitchen. Of course he was. Ayan leaned against the counter, scrolling through his phone, looking like nothing in the world had shifted. But when he glanced up and saw me, something in his expression softened, and that calm, practiced mask slipped just a little. Neither of us spoke. Not at first. "Tea?" he asked casually, like we hadn't just turned our lives upside down. I nodded. That was how it started. Not with grand confessions or dramatic promises, but with small, careful steps. We became quieter around each other. More aware. Every glance lasted a second too long. Every accidental touch sent a ripple through my chest. Even sitting across from each other at breakfast felt different now, like there was an invisible thread connecting us that no one else could see. And that invisible thread became our biggest challenge. Because we weren't alone. Our parents were right there, laughing, talking, completely unaware of the storm brewing under their own roof. "You two are unusually quiet these days," my mom said one evening, narrowing her eyes slightly. "Peaceful, finally," Ayan replied smoothly, taking a sip of water. I forced a smile. But inside, my heart was racing. We had crossed a line, and now we had to live on both sides of it. Days turned into weeks. And the closer we grew emotionally, the harder it became to maintain distance physically. We set rules. No late night talks behind closed doors. No lingering touches. No slipping. But rules are easy to make and hard to follow, especially when feelings refuse to stay contained. One night, during a power outage, everything cracked again. The house was dark, the air thick with silence. I was sitting in the living room, trying to distract myself, when he walked in with a flashlight. "You're scared of the dark, right?" he said, a teasing edge in his voice. "I'm not a child," I shot back. A pause. Then softer. "You still don't like it, though." I didn't reply. Instead, I just sat there hugging my knees. He sat down beside me, not too close, but not far either. And somehow, that distance felt louder than any argument we'd ever had. "We're pretending again," he said quietly. "I know. It's not working." "I know," I repeated, my voice barely above a whisper. Silence stretched between us. Then almost instinctively, my hand moved. And for the first time since that night, I held his hand. Everything stilled. The world outside, the noise inside my head, everything faded. It felt right. Too right. "We shouldn't," I whispered, even as I tightened my grip. "I know," he said. But neither of us let go. That was the moment we realized the truth. This wasn't just a phase. It wasn't something we could ignore or outgrow. It was real. And real things demand choices. The next challenge came sooner than we expected. Zara. She showed up at our house one afternoon, smiling as brightly as ever. "I was in the area," she said, stepping inside. But the way she looked at Ayan told me everything. She still liked him. Maybe more than that. And suddenly, I felt like I didn't belong in my own story. I watched them talk, laugh, exist in a way that looked so normal. No complications. No secrets. Just easy. And it hurt more than I was prepared for. That night, I avoided him again. Not out of fear this time, but insecurity. Because for the first time, I questioned everything. Maybe this was a mistake. Maybe I was ruining something that could have been simple for him. Maybe I was the problem. He found me on the rooftop, just like before. "You're running again," he said. I didn't turn around. "She's better for you," I said bluntly. "Zara?" "Yes." There was a pause. Then, unexpectedly, he laughed softly. "You really think this is about better?" I frowned, finally looking at him. "Isn't it?" He stepped closer. "No," he said. "It's about real. And what I feel with you isn't something I can replace with easy." My chest tightened. "But it's complicated," I insisted. "So what?" he replied. "Since when did we ever choose the easy option?" That made me smile, just a little. Because he was right. We had always been difficult. Messy. Honest. Us. "I don't want to hurt anyone," I admitted. "Neither do I," he said. "That's why we do this right. No lies, no hiding forever, just time and clarity." For the first time, it didn't feel like we were lost. It felt like we were choosing a path, even if we couldn't see the end of it yet. And that changed everything. We didn't rush. We didn't rebel. We grew individually, together, carefully, because love like this doesn't survive on impulse. It survives on patience, understanding, and the courage to face what comes next. As I stood there with him under the fading light, I realized something important. The real challenge wasn't the world around us. It wasn't the labels or the expectations. It was whether we were strong enough to handle the truth of what we felt. And for the first time, I believe we were. Because this wasn't just a forbidden crush anymore. It was a choice. And we were finally ready to face it. Together.